Hello everyone, it's me, Bunnie, and today we're gonna be talking about Zane Bennet from H2O. Someone requested I made this video and I thought, smashing idea. I will. So I watched the first and third season for this. While I skipped a lot just to get to the parts where Zane was in, I also noticed how the main female antagonists in this series are either blonde or redheads. That being said, I will say I am on Kim's side on this one particular thing when it came to her not wanting to eat the food that Cleo made. I mean, it's not like she can wash her hands properly. And hand sanitizer is approximately 18.425% of water, according to Google. And I don't know if you'll remember this, but in the first season, Lewis did test them to see what liquids would and wouldn't affect them. The most that we were able to see is that 32% water content is too much water for them, but hopefully 18.42 isn't too much. If it's mostly vegetable oil, they're okay, but we also don't know the minimum of water content that they can actually, spill on themselves. So yeah. Also, Emma works at the Usenet cafe. I assume she carries hand sanitizer and alcohol with her because in that type of job you have to have clean hands. And it's not like she's wearing gloves that I can't recall. I wish they had shown in the series how much water percentage is too much water for them, but we'll never know. The closest we got was 32%, but we don't know if anything lower than that is too much as well. Anyways, back to the video. Right from season 1, Zane ain't a good guy. In the first season, he essentially threatened to physically assault Cleo because he got in trouble for what he did to her. He said, "You know, Cleo, one of these days, with or without Lewis, something really bad might happen to you." The audacity of him. His zodiac wasn't working. There was a part that was missing. I forgot the name of it. And he convinced poor naive Cleo to get on it. Then he pushed the Zodiac, leaving her stranded. Well, not entirely, there were rows in that boat, but he didn't see them. But that's besides the point. He cannot swim. Why did he push Cleo while he's on the boat, you might ask? Simple. He said, "Because you're here." I hate him. He tells her to keep the Zodiac as well, because his daddy can get him another one. The water police come knocking on their door. The water police. Wait, is that actually a thing? Hang on, let me search that real quick. Okay, the water police is a broad term referring to specialized law enforcement units that patrol and operate on waterways. They can be called various names, including bay constables, harbor patrols, marine police, or port police, depending on the specific jurisdictions. Okay, there is indeed water police. So he gets in trouble. His dad should have sent him to military school, but that probably would have made him worse. Also, in this first episode, as we know, that's when Cleo discovers her powers, and she swooshes him away with her water power, and he lands in the ocean, which leads us to this next scene. In episode 2, he told Lewis he'll remove his head from his shoulder if he ever mentioned what happened the other day, with the fire hydrant spraying him with water and him landing in the ocean. All Lewis said was, "Hey Zane, you're dry. That must feel different." That was enough for Zane to threaten Lewis with decapitation in public. Lewis said that because Zane was being rude to Cleo, or simply asking Byron what his ranking was now. Lewis was less of a pacifist in the earlier episodes. For the looks of it, if you remembered, he looked like he was about to jump Zane. Also, this is also the episode where Lewis offered to go on a swim with them, but Rikki tells him that she and Emma were unclothed, and he said, "Just a quick dip then?" The audacity of season 1 Lewis. This is also the episode where Cleo can't make up her mind about going to the pool party or not. Eventually she decides to go. She's pretending to be sick, and they think she is sick. Zane finds her and says, "Look who's here, just when we wanted a bit of fun." This is literally the first thing out of this sociopath's mouth when he sees her. What does he have against Cleo? He's still salty about him getting soaked the week before. Like, sir, that's your own fault. Now he wants to make it even, despite the fact that he has no clue that it was her who did the spraying in the first place. He tells him she has a cold, that it could be pneumonia, and can't go in the water. So what do? They surround her, 3 guys on Zane's side, including Zane, and like 4 guys behind her. That's just terrifying. Who raised these boys? He starts chanting her name like a lunatic, and they grabbed her, swing her into the pool, and now Louis knows that they are mermaids. In episode 4, after Cleo tells them about the strange lady that seems to know something about her and staying dry, and after Emma calls her mom to text the invitations for the slumber party, Zane shows up and offers the Mermaid Club 3 frozen soda drinks. I don't know why Cleo took a sip considering, that's Zane and he's evil. But she does, and it's disgusting. Zane, Miriam, and Tiffany start laughing at her. It was prune juice. This was all unprovoked. Miriam realizes that she wasn't invited to the party, but Tiffany was, and she's upset about it. And Zane goes with her to the party and brings pastries. Emma's mother doesn't know about, anything since Emma doesn't tell her, and she invites them to stay because he's an old family friend. Her mother tells her to make more of an effort, that he's such a lovely young man. Adam, the amount of times he has harassed Cleo in the last 4 episodes alone, says otherwise, not to mention the way he treats Miriam. In his own words, Miriam is the girl I let follow me around whenever it suits me. But he bought her a new outfit for the party, so it's okay. He's getting a good deal. Eventually, Emma is able to kick him out, so thank goodness for that, and the slumber party can go on as scheduled. In episode 10, The Camera Never Lies, we see he has daddy issues and wants to prove he's good enough to his father, which is very sad. It does appear clearly that he is just an afterthought to his father at times, and is probably one of the reasons he acts out so much. But does he have to go after Cleo so often? He went out of his way to get as much information about his father's record and shows him to his dad. His dad says he'd kiss the feet of any man who could pull off what he did then. This inspires Zane. He wants to beat his father's record. He wants to sign up for the film competition and get Louis to help him because Zane isn't eligible because his father is judging, promising Louis that if he helps him and finishes the film, he'd give him his camera. He gets his father's original windsurfer, which he steals from the Usenet cafe, and proceeds to do the reenactment. He almost succeeds. Unfortunately, something goes wrong. A shark hits his windsurfer and he lands in the water. Sharks are way too close to him since Mako is a shark breeding ground now, and he's terrified. He's screaming for help and Louis can't get to him fast enough. If Rikki hadn't been there filming underwater, he'd be shark food. Louis didn't see any sharks when he got there, though he doesn't believe him, and wants to use the clips of Zane screaming for help. Zane gets in trouble about the whole stealing the windsurfer thing. Zane tries to explain his erratic behavior by telling his father the truth and that there were a lot of sharks out there. His father asks Louis if he saw anything. His words, completely discrediting Zane in front of his father. Despite Zane and his father not wanting Louis to use the footage, he still uses the clips of Zane being scared for his life and makes a funny film with it. The film he makes is shown, and Rikki calls him out because she was there and there was a shark. He wins the award for Best Film and Zane Best Actor, and donates the prize money to the Usenet Cafe to compensate them for all the troubles he caused them by stealing the windsurfer from them. We can see that there's a lot of problems going on with Zane's family, like the dad doesn't care about him. Zane has very big daddy issues and takes it out on everyone, especially Cleo, for reasons unknown. But that doesn't excuse his foul behavior, you know? In episode 11, he's just a bad sport, taunting Byron in this episode, and he loses the swimming competition. Not much to say here. Then we get to the episode where Cleo gets moonstruck and starts singing. And before the moon starts showing up, he makes fun of Cleo for her peculiar singing skills. And then while under the effects of the siren singing, he wants to make her a star and to be her manager. But of course, that only lasts until the moon goes away. In episode 13, we start this episode with Zane yelling at Mrs. Chatham, because of course. This is also the episode he wants to steal her treasure and was demanding money from her and almost gave her a heart attack. That seems to be on brand with him this season. He almost drowns, and Mermaid Emma saves him from drowning. And this is where his obsession with mermaids commences. And now our favorite mermaid trio almost get kidnapped by crazy scientists. Fun fact, Emma's mother had once saved Zane's father from drowning. Must be a family tradition. In episode 14, his hunt for the mer begin. He contracts Louis to help him find the sea monster. Louis tries to lure him away from any actual findings, but Cleo had ran away because of the party her father threw her, and he almost gets caught. He saves the day though, so nobody finds out about Mermaid Cleo right now. In episode 15, The Deep Chill, we see Zane being an uncaring boyfriend to Miriam, who was just served a strawberry smoothie by Rikki despite ordering mango smoothie with a dash of mint. He corrects Rikki, saying that it's the wrong order and Rikki being Rikki is just rude, and offers her, the girl who is allergic to strawberries, a straw, after she had mentioned she has an allergy towards strawberries. Yes, saying you don't serve someone who is allergic to something that think they are allergic to, and then offer them a straw, instead of simply fixing the mistake that you made. It could be seen as if you did it on purpose and were trying to harm Miriam in a very terrible way, and you could get sued for that. He ditches her while he thinks she's in the bathroom, because his dad told him to come home. This is also the episode we see the reason why we should be glad the mermaid trio didn't decide to be evil. In episode 16, he's acting nice to Cleo because he wants her to give him access to marine research. He agrees because he said he wants to help sea creatures. That was a lie. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in this episode, but I'm gonna leave that for another video, because if not, I'll just be repeating myself in the other video. In episode 18, he tries to get Cleo's dad to help him, but of course he's not believed. Lack of oxygen can make one hallucinate. Add on to that the stress of the situation, and it makes it hard to be believed that you saw a sea creature and that said sea creature saved your life. He goes back into the ocean where the ship sunk to get the door as proof and shows it to Cleo's dad and the other people there. He offers a reward to anyone who can tell him what made the dent on the door. Later, we see him with Cleo's dad trying to help him by giving him information of other things that occurred near the ship in the past, all which connect to being close by to Mako Island, and so he goes there. And this time, Rikki gets moonspelled and goes to Mako because she doesn't feel like it's safe for the others to be around her at the moment. And then she sets parts of Mako on fire by accident, and he finds her, and they kissed, and she almost whacks him by accident. In episode 20, Zane's dad is hosting a seminar, and Zane sees Rikki there, and they get locked out while talking in the balcony, and they talk. They get to know each other and open up more to each other. They might not hate each other anymore at this point. His dad finds them and they kiss again in the elevator. In episode 21, he asks Rikki to go out with him. He tries to find Miss Chatham to get answers, and instead of being polite, he's rude and hostile about it. This episode is when he sees a real mermaid in the water, a redhead, who happens to be Emma because she dyed her hair and was trying to retrieve a picture of Miss Chatham and her friends in their mermaid form. He tells everyone about the mermaid he saw, and of course nobody believes him. Rikki and Zane start dating, but the mer talk needs to stop, and that's the deal, in order for Rikki to date Zane. In episode 22, while Cleo is having a fashion crisis because the zombies in the movies she and Emma were watching had similar clothes to her, and Cleo can't be seen wearing the same outfits as a zombie, they spot Rikki and Zane exiting a movie, a romance movie. So not only are they dating, but Rikki also doesn't even bother to tell them. They're trying to figure out whether they are really dating or not, since Rikki isn't telling them anything. Emma and Cleo ask to choose between them once they find out, because Zane is literally hunting them down, and she tells them friends don't give each other ultimatums, even though she literally gives them an ultimatum in season 2. Also, he's been harassing the three of you, especially Cleo, all season. Why are you dating him? Zane buys her a red dress for his father's get-together. Emma is also there because her parents and Zane's father know each other. By episode 23, they're an official couple now, and Rikki sees the last of the 3 lockets. Unfortunately for her, so does Miriam, and she buys it and taunts Rikki, and Rikki jumps her like a wild animal. Zane eventually gets the locket and gives it back to Rikki. In episode 24 is when the dance happens and Rikki and Zane go together. But I just wanted to mention, for some unholy reason, and this is why I'm even mentioning this episode, Cleo goes with Nate, and that goose really tells her in front of her father, I thought I said something short and tight. Why hasn't anyone punched him in the face yet? Now we get to the bigger episodes. Dr. Denman is back and Zane meets her in episode 25. And he tells her to keep searching Mako because she'd be surprised with what she observes, unknowingly putting the girls in danger. He finds the moon pool and sees another skill like the one she saw before when Lois brought it into the lab. Zane's father is working with her, and now is when Dr. Bennet believes Zane about the mermaids, because they catch them in action with solid photo proof. And while Zane doesn't know what they look like, his father and Denman do, and his dad asks Dr. Denman not to tell Zane about that. In episode 26, the Mermaid Club is being stalked now, thanks to Zane and his father and Dr. Denman. Zane tells Rikki about the mermaids he saw, and how Dr. Denman has the proof now. Denman calls Lewis and asks to meet up with him and shows him the picture of their faces showing while in mermaid form. They hold him hostage because he doesn't want to help them, and then they steal his phone to send a message to the girls to trap them in Mako Island. They succeed and trap them in the moon pool, and this is how Zane meets the mermaids, and he's shocked, telling them it wasn't his fault. But it was. He was the one that gave Denman the tip and wouldn't drop the mermaid stuff. Zane goes to find Lewis to get him out so they can rescue the girls. In the meantime, Zane's father tells Denman that he doesn't want any harm coming to the girls. Denman agrees, but then says they'll do whatever it takes to get results. So then he didn't agree. Zane and Lewis come to the rescue, and the girls get to escape. Miss Chatham tells them how this full moon can take their powers away, and they decide to get rid of their powers. And Dr. Bennet pulls out of the research because he realized he made a big mistake. The girls give up their powers for what they believe was forever. Zane and Rikki break up, and he and his dad are talking again. His dad is making more of an effort, and so is he. Now the girls' powers are gone, and Cleo can moisturize again. A big worry she was having when they first turned into mermaids. Since, moisturizer is mostly water. Everything is great for Mermaid Club until their powers and tails come back after 12 hours. Now, while it's not entirely his fault that Dr. Denman found the mermaid skill in Mako, he is the one that gave her the tip to go there in the first place. And he was more than willing to trap the mermaids he saw in the picture. What if they hadn't been Rikki, Cleo, and Emma? What if they had been complete strangers to him? No one would come to rescue them, and Zane would not have cared to save them at all. Also, Rikki dating him after how he treated Cleo and the rest of them is unhinged, and then dating him again in season 2? Like, girl, why? And speaking of season 2, he helps her when he realizes that she's still a mermaid. He kissed Rikki without consent after he made her believe he was in an accident. That's gross. And if you're gonna be angry with Charlotte for kissing Louis without consent, because ew, why Charlotte? Why are you doing that? And then Louis still dates her and continues to lead her on after that scene, right? You have to be angry with Zane as well for doing the same thing to Rikki. Thanks to him, Louis has a nice birthday party. But the party boat wasn't for Louis. Not really. Zane had to tap into Ricky's petty side to convince her to go to her own friend's birthday party. He did the party boat for Rikki, who in turn did it for Cleo, because she had suggested a party boat and burgers. It wasn't for Louis, and it never was. Emma wouldn't have gone if Cleo had decided not to go. Emma was there for Cleo, who was there for Louis. And Rikki would only be there for Cleo and Emma, and sometimes not even then, like we saw in this episode. Because at the end of the day, Emma and Rikki are not Louis's friends. They are Cleo's. And Louis is just a backup guy to them, and that is literally what he calls himself. And they treat him as such, which is very sad. Had Zane not been able to convince Rikki, there would be no party boat, and Cleo and Emma would have been stuck in the room longer. Or until Cleo remembered that she has powers to control water and used it to make, like, I don't know, like a bubble of water around the pipe so that Emma could freeze it. Anyways, he also got kicked out of the Usenet in the previous episodes. He made Emma spill liquid onto herself by accident, and she had to run before she turned into a mermaid in public. He did stop Ash from going in there, but he also insulted Emma, which led to him being kicked out in the first place. Now on to season 3. He gives Rikki a cafe with her ideas without telling her, making it seem like he stole her ideas only to be like, surprise girl, it's for you. In episode 19, he's helping Zoe. In episode 19, he's helping Sophie and Will with his diving. When Will succeeds, he and Sophie kiss. And by he, I mean Zane, not Will. Rikki sees everything. When he sees him after what happened, she tells him, "You and Sophie seem very pleased with each other." His response, "We got a bit carried away celebrating. I mean, that's all." Rikki proceeds to tell him, "This is me you're talking to. I know what I saw." And then he tells her, "It's nothing to get upset about." The audacity! Rikki says to him, "I'm not. I know that we've been over for a while." That she thought he'd moved on from being immature and selfish, but he hasn't. And then Zane tells her, "Well, maybe the problem is that you've changed." And she has, because she's not putting up with him anymore. Good for Rikki. Because how do you manage to date that weirdo in the first place? In episode 21, he starts acting all jealous because Rikki got a new necklace. And mind you, that necklace is like identical to Bella's necklace. So instead of him assuming that it must have been like a girl thing and that they're just trying to get matching necklaces again, no. He goes out of his way to steal the necklace and then proceeds, "What happened to us? We're really connected. Sir, you cheated on her." That's what happened. Then he tells her, "You really want me to leave you alone?" "Yes." "Okay, just know that's the end. I don't owe you anything. Because if we're apart, I can't guarantee I'll keep your secret." Like, wow. Way to prove that you are still that selfish, immature jerk that he met years ago. Eventually, he apologizes to Rikki for the stupid things he said and promises he'll make up for it one day. And then, in episode 25, he gives Sophie and some guy whose name I don't know money to mine in Mako Island. Specifically, the Moonpool Cave. That's a weird way to make it up to someone, but okay. Mind you, Mako Island is a national park in this world. In episode 26, we all know what happens next. Thanks to Zane funding Sophie's greed, Mako's magic is gone. He did regret what he did and tried to stop her, but he's too late. Thanks to Will, at least he was able to convince his sister to leave the stones behind. Also, speaking of Mako's island magic, since Mako Mermaids happens after H2O just add water, and, you know, the asteroid that almost whacked the world away, and Rikki, Cleo, and Bella almost sacrificing themselves for the world to make the Tower of Light. Where the heck were the countless merpods across the world? I assume the ocean, rivers, and lakes would have warned them too. Because Rikki is 17 to 18 in season 3 and about 25 to 26 in Mako Mermaids. So yeah, it's rather weird that none of them did anything to save the world they live in when they too have powers and much stronger powers than these three combined. Anyways, back to Zane. He started off as a jerk who was okay with harming girls, ends up dating Rikki, I don't know how, and unintentionally gets them all exposed by a mad scientist in his pursuit of mermaids. Thankfully, even his father was like, "What the hell, they're just children, leave them alone." They thought they had given up their powers permanently because of this. He helps in the end of season 1 and shows potential to grow into a better person, but then he kisses Rikki without consent in season 2, episode 3. And that's gross. Because like I said, if you're gonna be mad at Charlotte for doing that to Louis, and they start dating in that same episode too, like, geez, Louis. You also had to be mad at Zane because his was objectively worse. He made Rikki think he was badly injured and unconscious and then kisses her. All the while, he is ultra concerned and is starting to panic about his well-being, and then they start dating sometime later. Like, geez, Rikki, what the heck? Thanks to him, Louis did get a nice birthday party, since he was able to convince Rikki to go to his party by appealing to her petty side. He also gets liquids on Emma, but manages to fend off Ash. Is that his name? Ash? From being able to go and see her. But he also unnecessarily insults Emma and gets kicked out of the Usenet, and then because of that, Emma and Rikki start fighting each other because of those two idiots. All while forgetting that they were supposed to go to an anniversary party with Cleo in Mako Island. In the final season, he takes Rikki's ideas for a cafe and brings it to life, and names the cafe Rikki's. That's very cute. But then he cheats on her with Miss Greedy Pants, who single-handedly, well, he had help from Zane's money, and the guy whose name I still don't know, who did the mining, and then destroyed the moon pool's cave magic. He also tried to coerce Rikki into staying with him or else he wouldn't keep her mermaid secret. Geez, Zane, what's wrong with you? Overall, he's a 4 out of 10 character, in my unhumble opinion, and that's being generous. Because again, he did threaten to harm Cleo because he got in trouble for something that he did to her. I don't remember him ever apologizing for that. And no, him helping them at the end of the season doesn't erase anything that he put them through, especially Cleo. Like, why, oh why, is he always after Cleo? Who throws a person who is sick and cannot swim in a pool? He had his moments where he was a better person. He did. We were all rooting for him. He had us in the second half, but then he lost us completely. But at the end of the day, he is still the same immature, selfish guy he's always been. He might have grown a bit, but not enough. Anyways, that's it for this video. The next video on H2O just at water. I was gonna say mermaids! H2O just at mermaids! The next video is coming up soon as well. I just had to rearrange it because most of the stuff that I'm gonna talk about is in the script that I did for Zane's video. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, because more is coming. And if you want me to talk about any topic, be it like a character like this, or to add to the Devil's Advocate series, or any topic in general, let me know, and I'll make a video of it. And also, I hope you have a lovely day or night. See you later. Bye bye!